For those of you who love your fast food but plead ignorance when it comes to the calories, the county will not be implementing menu labeling legislation until January 1st. The decision was made to give restaurant owners more time to comply with the bill, which would require the posting of calories on menu boards of certain chain restaurants.
So beginning July 1, the health department will communicate with restaurants. Many restaurants are ready to comply. Some have already posted the information in Montgomery County. But beginning July 1, the law is effective, but the health department will do outreach to affected restaurants to explain the requirements of the law. In September, restaurants will need to submit their compliance plan. In some cases, menus are only printed maybe twice a year. And then by January 1st, there would actually be penalties for failure to comply.
Leventhal says the plan is necessary to fight obesity and heart disease. Montgomery was also the first county in the nation to ban trans fats in restaurants. The law applies to restaurants with 20 or more locations nationwide. That translates to 640 county restaurants.
But it's very clear that when we talk about national health reform, we not only need to address access to health insurance, which is critically important, but we also need to address healthy behaviors and to enable folks to have good information about what they're eating, which is what this law does, will assist individuals in monitoring their diet and adjusting their lifestyle, because clearly preventive health care involves a healthy diet, good nutrition, fitness, exercise, cessation of smoking, all of these habits that lead to health problems.
The concept has not been received warmly by the restaurant industry. However, we asked some county residents what they thought about the idea, and most agreed they would make better nutritional choices if that information was available to them.
I think it's a good idea because some people are picky. They want to know what they're eating. You know, for those people who are like on a diet, they're trying to keep their stuff in check. It's useful information.
Well, I think it's important that restaurants post what the ingredients are and the calories so that moms like me can make an informed decision about what goes in our bodies and what our families are eating.
I think it's a good idea. I think the more information that a consumer has, the better able the consumer is to make an informed decision.
In anticipation of the policy, some restaurants have already begun posting their calorie information. In the end, Leventhal says he hopes menu labeling will result in lower health care costs that stem from poor eating habits. District 2 Councilmember Mike Knapp has announced he will not seek a third term. Mr. Knapp has been a member of the council since 2002 as the representative for District 2, which serves the Up County. He will leave the council to promote life sciences and job growth for our region.
And knowing how this field is going to emerge, especially as the economy starts to come back, Montgomery County should be one of the nation's leaders, if not the nation's leader, in different elements of research, and more importantly, how to commercialize that research, build companies, and get products that will help improve people's lives. And I think, given my background and given my experience in 8 years on the council, I'm uniquely situated to help lead that charge, and I think that now is the time to do it.
Earlier this year, Costco expressed an interest in opening up shop at the Wheaton Westfield Mall. The proposal was initially received well with officials. However, as plans evolved, concerns have arisen. Costco says it wants to come to Wheaton and locate its store in the old Hex that has been vacant for several years. But now a 16-pump gas station has become part of the deal. Officials say downtown Wheaton needs revitalization, so they have put approval of the station on the fast track.
We're in an environment where we've got to make sure we're doing everything we can to create jobs, and we have some procedures in place that sometimes are very cumbersome. When we wanted to redevelop downtown Silver Spring, we rewrote the zoning ordinance to create an urban renewal area. It provided all the protections and community input that was necessary and all the safeguards. It just expedited the process, and that's really what we're talking about here.
However, the proposal has encountered some official opposition. The Planning Board has unanimously rejected the special legislation for Costco. They say it bypasses the customary review process and doesn't give the public a chance to weigh in.
This is not to say that you couldn't possibly have a gas station at Westfield. It's to say if you're going to have a gas station at Westfield, it ought to meet the same kind of standards that every other gas station in the county meets.
Neighbors who live in nearby Kensington Heights say they welcome Costco. They just don't want to inhale fumes from the gas station from their homes or the neighborhood swimming pool.
You know, I'm someone who uses the pool a lot, and I know it simply isn't going to be good for business if there are 16 gas pumps right across the way and maybe 60, 70 idling cars and vans and stuff like that. It basically would be like a code orange day every day at the swimming pool.
They don't want to go through the process. And the process is there for a good reason, to protect the communities and the citizens of Montgomery County.
County council members have yet to weigh in on what they think about the proposal, but a majority of them are in favor of the Costco. Mike Knapp chairs the council's planning committee. He says he hopes a compromise between all parties can be reached.
I think given the concerns that have been raised, we're going to want to be pretty clear as to how Westfield lines up, how the community lines up, and what the alternatives are before we'd actually go into committee and review it.
Plans are in the works to keep Sligo Creek Golf Course open. Last summer, the County Council approved $150,000 to keep the course open until the end of this month. Now it looks like golfers will still be swinging for many months to come. Sligo Creek is the only 9-hole course remaining in Montgomery County's publicly run system. Last year, the Revenue Authority turned the golf course back over to the County Parks Department, saying it was too costly to operate. Now it has reversed that decision.
We are now working with the Parks Department to enter into an option agreement based on that operating agreement that would continue operations through the end of November of this year. During that time, we're hoping to finalize negotiations on a multi-year agreement with the Parks Department to continue operating Sligo Creek.
There were plenty of supporters of Sligo Creek who were teed off at the idea of closing the course. Some formed a coalition geared at keeping Sligo Creek open. They say it has some of the county's most diverse users and is suited well for children and seniors.
It's really important that we keep the fees down, because if you go to the course now, you will see people who you normally don't see golfing. You see young people, you see children learning how to golf for the first time, you see elderly people out there, you see a lot of veterans, which is a really big deal for me in particular, because we really try to work hard to keep that the course open for veterans. So it's a very unique course in many ways, and so we're very thrilled to keep it open.
Funds to keep Sligo open are expected to come from revenue generated from the golf course over the next few months. But other expenses to maintain Sligo would come from county coffers. Councilmember Mark Elrich says the success of the golf course depends on the goals of who's managing it.
But the county's not in the business of being a business, it's in the business of providing services to residents. And so you just can't look at every decision and say, well, you know, I can eliminate all my costs here and make this other center more profitable if it means that only people who live out there can get there conveniently, and then you take away the service from people who live around Sligo.
Well, that does it for this edition of the Council in Brief. For County Cable Montgomery, I'm Susan Kennedy. Thanks for joining us.